At uni, I studied art history and history. I applied for media and didn't get any. In fact, I got rejected to every course and had to go into clearing. And I really wanted to go to goldsmiths, and I really liked history and art, and so I did that for 3 years. I've never had to get out my certificate to at any job interview, but I definitely would recommend going to uni if that was your kind of thing. Just it's a bit of a cliche, but the way of life, as opposed to, I mean, not as opposed to, you know, the actual learning and, you know, bringing together arguments about culture and art and all that kind of stuff have definitely fed into what I do now. But yeah, it definitely hasn't led to a direct qualification to what I do. But yeah, I suppose, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. I suppose I'm an example of, you know, going to uni and not really having a full idea of what I wanted to do and then coming out. And despite art history not being related directly to music, it's kind of led me there somehow through life experiences and kind of lectures and seminars. I was working as the department secretary, the visual art department secretary at an adult learning college, and then the friend who kind of got me that job left, and then I was kind of politely told that, well, not politely told, I was kind of, you know, I was doing the job and I was doing it fine and all that kind of stuff, but my concentration wasn't on it. It was on going to the studio afterwards. So I kind of left that job, and that was when I realised that I needed to get a job in something that I was interested in. I can just go through the motions. Well, I could, but I wasn't fooling anybody I kind of, you know, I thought, oh, you know, I could go and do this day job. It's fine. I'll just earn some money and then go off and do something. Nobody will notice. It'll be totally fine. And then, my boss was kind of like, you're not interested in this job. You can do it. It's fine. You can tick all the boxes. That's great. But you're not interested. Go off and do something that you're interested in. And that was Glenn, actually. And then that's basically when I moved back home with my mum. Over like the winter, Christmas period, staying on my friend's floor and just applying for jobs at record labels or, you know, music industry orientated until I got one, basically. And yeah, that's what happened with Brownswood. I emailed them. I just, you know, I was kind of, I just delved deep into kind of checking out stuff online and checking all the radio shows and checking what kind of music I like, you know, actually as kind of self-assessing myself slightly, you know, just like, what music do I like? Oh, what kind of record label does that come from? Who promotes that kind of thing? You know, what's the kind of, what's the story behind it? And then finding that these different kind of people had record labels or, I don't know, something that could give me a job. So I'd just write to them and just say, you know, this is what I do. It's the kind of person I am. This is why I like you guys. Have you got any jobs? And if you have, can I have one? And yeah, and then Emily got back to me. Emily at Brownswood got back to me and said, oh yeah, you might have something. I was like, whoa. Like, you know, because you don't get many responses. It's, you know, it's not, yeah, you don't get many responses. And if you do, you know, you then figure out that it's probably not right for you, or they figure it's not right for you, or they don't respond again. Like, oh, it's, you know, it's a really painful, laborious process that you have to be prepared to go through and go for months and doubt yourself and reassess yourself. Yeah, so I emailed back and was like, great, yeah, I can come in for an interview whenever. And then didn't get a response. So, and then I think I went off I did like a part-time job and all that kind of stuff. Then she emailed me, oh yeah, I went off to become project manager at this new media company and did like stuff for Eurostar and all that kind of stuff, you know. Which is all right, it was in the creative industry, but it was pretty boring, you know. It was kind of making sure we had the right Pantones and logos and all that kind of stuff. And then then Bounce would email me back and I was earning quite good money at the time as well. It was the best money. It was the best money in fact, the best money I'd earned up until probably about a year ago. And then Bounce had emailed me and said, "Oh yeah, that job that you emailed about, we advertised it on Music Week." Oh yeah, that was it. I saw it advertised on Music Week, so I was like, "Oh well, I'm obviously not gonna get it." And so she emailed me and said, "Oh, we advertised it on Music Week, just so you know. Do you want to come in and have a chat?" I went in and they offered me the job for less money than the job that I was doing at the time. My dad tried his hardest to convince me not to. Because he was like, "Oh no," he thought he'd kind of steered me off the music industry path. And then I was like, "Ah, I found a job, but it's less money." And he was like, "Oh, well, and then I kind of, I did all kinds of things. I tried to do the two together, all that kind of stuff, and then to eventually, my boss at the new media company, yet again being like, "You don't want to be here. Go and work for the record label." So yeah, I went to work for the record, and then that gave me enough time to work for Giles. I was basically Giles' assistant with all kinds of stuff, with his podcast, mainly his online stuff, and then helped him research music for his radio shows and all kinds of bits and pieces. And at Brownswood, I was doing slight A&R work, just kind of helping with the compilations and a couple of the releases. I mean, that involved doing events, all that kind of stuff. Being in the studio, helping with rehearsals, getting teas and coffees, and also doing the kind of online marketing for Brownswood at a time when Facebook was just about existing and nobody really understood what it was. So I had quite a free range actually to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just doing some stuff on MySpace." Which I was, but nobody actually understood what I was doing. And I think that was my first break, because that kind of it wasn't necessarily I wasn't working on projects that were necessarily mine or my creation, but that definitely kind of gave me the break and the step to kind of to then go on eventually and do my own kind of thing.